May, have you seen this small green fox streamer do a book review of False Gods? It's very nuanced. No. She sounds like she's probably, too anxious, TBH, you know? Like, she probably apologizes for everything, you know? We're gonna watch this 10 weird and wonderful things from Rogue Trader from Snipe and Web.
Recently, the 8th edition of Warhammer 40,000 was released, and whilst we're sure there's plenty of videos with opinions about how it has either saved or ruined the game, we thought that instead, we'd take a look back through the mists of time to 987.m2, or 1987 if you don't want to play along, and the very first edition of 40k known as Warhammer 40,000 Rogue Trader.
Written by Rick Priestley, this first edition of the game was very different from the game we know today. In many ways it shared more in common with RPGs like Dungeons & Dragons, even going as far as to have an extra player as a games master or GM to oversee the game. And it got even more interesting.
I need everyone to understand that, and I've said this many times, D&D is just what happens when you try to story game a war game, and Warhammer is what happens when you war game a war game. Buff Custodes are real. Buff Custodes can't hurt you. Buff Custodes.
In the lore department. You see, Rogue Trader's lore was a bit all over the place. There's plenty of it that's still canon even now, 30 years later, but there's also stuff in there that was jettisoned out of an airlock at the first available opportunity.
So, with all that in mind, here's 10 weird and wonderful things from Rogue Trader.
Their editing is really great and snappy.
Time to switch me shooter from tickle to slap.
Probably the first thing you'll notice when you peruse a Rogue Trader rulebook is how the artwork is both amazingly 80s and, shall we say, erratic in quality. If you're used to the very refined look of modern 40k, then seeing a squat with Slam Sector on his space surfboard, or an assault marine who desperately needs to take a piss.
Chad, is this true? Were there space surfboards? I'm not being lied to, am I? This is not fake news, correct? Why'd they get rid of it? That was such a good idea. That was such a good idea. Why would they do that to us and rob us of our space skateboards? Did you know, not to shell for a TTRPG, but did you know that you could kickflip over a quantum centipede in Slug Blaster, the critically acclaimed TTRPG created by Mikey Ham? I'm not sponsored by them, I just really like Slug Blaster. So, whoa, dude, like Surf's Up, Radical. Same thing I asked when they took guitars away from Noise Marines. That sucks. Can I show off my Slug Blaster to you guys? Hold on. Okay. Don't make me a clown. Don't make me a clown. I left for a minute and you balded me. Okay, anyway. This is why you should buy physical copies of TTRPGs when they come out, because they have such cool stuff. Okay, this is the little slug blasting is not a crime pin. Slug blasting is basically hoverboarding, but through dimensional portals. That's all you need to know. This is the logo of one of the...
I showed you my slug blaster. Please respond.
This is one of the patches from one of the groups in Slug Blaster. And then this is my favorite. I got a fingerboard with Whiffed Wabbit, which is one of the characters. It's like the mascot of one of the dudes. So, of like one of the groups. They're like normal skateboards, but mini. They're from this game, which I love so much. It's so good. Everything, the vibes about this game are incredible. Please look at. This is the pizza box. Let me scooch my Marines out of the way. I have to tell you about my other hyperfixation. Shut up, Mom. Showing you our hyperfixation. This is the pizza box that we got when you ordered the Game of the Year edition, because it was chosen for Game of the Year, I believe, for it wasn't the Ennies, it was something like that. This is the pizza box. It opens up like this. Is this not the coolest thing ever? Oh, it comes with like all of these. Comes with a bunch of stickers. There was stuff in here at one point. There's like this incredible art that they have. Or like, this is the Waking Pits, which is one of the worlds that you can slug blast to. Sorry, it's hard to show on camera. The art style in it like slaps so hard. Yeah, the one in Canada, I think. I love this game so much. And then this is the physical rule book for Slug Blaster. Let me put the pizza box back up. This is the rule book. This is based on, so this is a Forged in the Dark game, which means it's based on the Blades in the Dark system. It is one of the coolest books I own. I love the art style of this. Like, it is just off the charts amazing what they did with this. They have like full-on PSAs from an in-universe thing called Doorways. Like, oh. So it's a very easy system to learn too. It runs mostly on D6s. I mean, I just look at the art. It's so cool. Anyway, thank you for letting me show you my Slug Blaster. I think a lot about NDTT RPGs. Oh, a lot of you guys have played Blades. That's good. Yeah, my bestie Sam was into Blades when he first started. I think he's still into Blades, but that was more his thing back then. And I played Blades in the Dark once, but I was much more into Slug Blaster, which, funnily enough, I have never played, but I really like. Oh, that's really cool, Sigmund. Yeah, I just, oh, I love it so much. It's all about like coming of age and stuff, and it's based on like Saturday morning cartoons. Oh, so good. It's so good. Love Slug Blaster. Are we ready to get back into the video?
Well, it can be a little jarring.
Honestly, these books are worth reading for the artwork alone. Looking through a modern book, it's just very obvious it's a product of a large professional company, whereas this stuff is just so raw and unpolished. It comes across as, I don't know, less corporate and more honest, or something. It's kind of endearing.
It also leads to some pretty wildly different interpretations of things, especially in how they draw Space Marine armor. Sometimes they have backpacks, sometimes they don't. Sometimes they're barehanded, sometimes they're not. Sometimes they're skinny, sometimes they're walking piles of beef. Although one of the more adorable things is how they often have words like hate or kill written on their armor. And speaking of Space Marines...
Oh, I love
Vigilance,
that.
brothers. Always vigilance.
In the original Rogue Trader rulebook, they established 12 Space Marine chapters, although the book tells you that it's only 11 for some reason. Maybe it's a test by the Inquisition to see if you'd notice. But anyway, the chapters might not necessarily be the ones you'd expect. They are as follows. The Blood Angels, the Blood Drinkers, the Crimson Fists, the Dark Angels, the Flesh Eaters, the Flesh Terrors, the Iron Hands, the Rainbow Warriors, Kylie Minogue, the Space Wolves, the Ultramarines, and the...
I'm sorry, who?
The Rainbow Warriors, Kylie Minogue...
Or the Silver Skulls, I guess.
The Space Wolves, the Ultramarines, and the White Scars.
Some of these would go on to be pretty important in the setting, and some would end up in relative obscurity.
Ain't
So
nobody
it's
give
kind
a
of
shit
fun to see
about
the
the Flesh
Ultramarines, the
Eaters.
literal poster child of 40k, displayed on equal footing with the Rainbow Warriors, who've only been mentioned in passing a few times in the 3 decades since their creation.
Ah, the Rainbow Warriors. Not only were the poor bastards probably named after a boat that was sunk, but they get even less love from GW than the sisters do.
This quiet offends, Slanesh.
Human mutation is a common theme in 40k, and Rogue Trader was no exception. In fact, there's a huge chart with nearly 100 different mutations should you wish to create a mutant. So, rather...
Let's read some of these. Beaked. The creature has a horny beak similar to that of a bird. In close combat, the creature gains a single bite at normal strength. This does not count as an improvised attack. This feels like a monster manual for D&D. Beweaponed extremities. The creature's arms or normal manipulative limbs are formed into the shape of clubs, often with spiky nodules or exposed bone. Although useless for holding weapons, these do make excellent hand weapons in their own right, so that the creature need never worry about counting as improvised in combat. Oh, that's worded so badly. Big ears. This mutation affects the tissues of the ears, which become so swollen and prominent as to resemble those of an elephant. This is rather inconvenient, to put it mildly, making it almost impossible to wear a helmet, for instance. However, the creature's hearing becomes quite acute, so that the slightest sound can be detected easily. This allows the creature to function as if equipped with a bioscanner sensitive to any animal source. That's incredible. That's great. Yeah, tag yourself. Let's see, which one am I? You said you were 38. Hideous appearance. I think I'd be... Ooh. Subject to fits. Number 86. Subject to fits. We could roll some dice. Oh, I love that. That's so good. Roll 2d10. Determine your place on the chart. You're 22? Emits cloud of poisonous gas. Brightly patterned skin. The creature has a brightly patterned skin, striped, spotted, party colored, etc. Such mutations are odd looking, even occasionally attractive, but are only superficial. They have no associated advantages or disadvantages. That's crazy. Long nose, headless. Illusion of normalcy. A lot of people here are 47, irrational fear. Irrational hatred. You got 77? Scaly skin. 62 and 63? Well, they mean left and right. 62 is multiple arms on the left, 63 is multiple arms on the right, you know? 82 is best. A silly walk. You're so right. How did I not see that? You can have a silly voice or a silly walk. 99, walking head. That is really good. That is really good. Yeah. 82, that one's great. What the hell does a rearranged face even mean? It's up to you, brother. This is barely a war game. Right now we're picking which one of these applies to us. The Ministry of Silly Walks reference. Oh. What is 11? They have that over here. So black-skinned, this is an abnormal mutation affecting the skin structure. All light reaching the skin is completely absorbed without reflecting even the tiniest amount. The creature is seen only as a black shape with no actual detail or structure apart from a pitch black outline. This does not affect the creature in any way other than making it totally invisible in darkness. So it's like a weird half invisibility. It's like Vanta Black. Yeah. You can't just say that. I'm sorry! We were clarifying. New threat, I will 74 you, rearrange your face. Pitch black. Yeah. Ah, yes. Invisible in darkness when you are... Well, you can kind of see stuff in darkness. You know what I mean? You can kind of see stuff. Gotta make myself a little bit bigger. There we go. Anyway. You got 61. Oh my word. There, you can also have breathes fire. This terrible mutation permits the creature to breathe flame. Fire breath can be used in close combat or at a distance with a maximum range of 8 inches. The strength of all attacks is the same as the mutant. Successful attacks cause 1 wound. Why is it a terrible mutation? $69, powerful, nice. Rearranged face reminds you of the full reality TV drama of one of your RimWorld colonies, where 2 pawns who were married in my colony, she got attacked by an animal and her husband just from there on is constantly rude to her, then breaks up with her because she's ugly now, immediately gets remarried the next day to a different pawn in the colony, and then still goes around still bad-mouthing his previous wife. Poof. That's crazy. Did I roll 79 or 80? Short legs or shrink? Uh-huh. I love RimWorld, but I did write an entire essay that hasn't come out yet, like a little video essay about how beating it was really boring, but I liked all the other parts. But it wasn't about difficulty, it was about lack of spreading things out. It's true. It's true, thank you. Thank you. I really like the game. I'd play it again anytime. I think about it quite often. You gotta take it really slow. The ending just doesn't do anything really. I'll have that video essay up sometime. Now that I got an editor and all that jazz. But, alright. We got a human mutation. We're gonna have to stop and read some of these, because that's really nice.
Other than just describe the rules, let's go ahead and make ourselves a mutant. The rules state that to make a mutant, you start with a basic creature, so let's start with a basic human. We'll call
Thank
him
God
Dennis.
I'm not a cat girl.
Normally, you'd roll a d3 to see how many mutations they'd get, but we're going to cheat a bit here and say we rolled a 3 so the guy has the maximum number of mutations possible. After that, we just need to roll a d100 to see what each one is.
First we roll a 53, which is long legs. The creature has enormously long legs. This is quite advantageous in some situations, allowing the creature to traverse difficult and very difficult ground with only half of the normal penalty. Next we get 63, which is multiple arms. The creature is blessed with multiple arms. These enable additional close combat weapons to be carried and hence additional attacks. And it seems we have to roll again to see how many arms we get, and we roll a 5, which means 4 extra arms. I guess you could say that would come in handy.
No.
On the final roll, we get 21, which is crystalline body. The creature's body appears to be made from a form of living glass. It is tough but inflexible. Basically, he's tougher, but his armor is weaker. So, there we go. A few rolls later and our perfectly normal human is now Dennis, the long-legged crystal man spider. That's pretty cool.
Interestingly, although the mutations we got here all affected the character mechanically, many in the list don't and are solely there for roleplay purposes, like your mutant having bird feet, a mutation that confers no advantage or disadvantage but is unattractive.
It's just kind of
It's just
silly.
plain offensive to birds. Or silly walk, which we assume is only there so that they could A, make a Monty Python reference, and B, use the term perambulatory technique.
Last one to fight is a runty squig.
For the next one, we leave the main rulebook behind and go on to one of the other source books from the era. The Orcs. This book establishes a lot of stuff about the Orcs, quite a lot of which is still canon, but one of the best parts are all the different squigs mentioned. Squigs, short for squiggly beasts, are creatures that exist within the Orcs ecosystem that are used for food, kept as pets,
So this
used
is
as
where squigs
hair,
come
and
from.
often as adorable explosive delivery methods. Oh, look at this little squiggly beast with his squiggly feet. Okay, that is a fuck. Oh my god.
In this book, there's squigs used to freshen breath, squigs used as bagpipes, and squigs used as paintbrushes. Thankfully, to our knowledge, none of the squigs from this book have been explicitly removed from canon, so there's one particular variant described that needs to come
Please
back.
read some of these. Okay, I will go back and read some of these. That's the original one. We'll do the bagpipe one. Squig pipes. This special type of squig is used by the orcs as a musical instrument. Several tube-like proboscises emanate from the squig's bag-like body. The musical squig can be tucked under one arm and inflated by blowing down a proboscis. Then, by squeezing the squig, weird and terrifying sounds can be made through the creature's proboscis pipes. This turns the squig into a musical instrument, much like the bagpipes, but 1,000 times more cacophonous. Orcs like to go into battle accompanied by the squirrel of the squig. Pretty sure that Fizzgig and Dark Crystal is basically a squig. I've never seen Dark Crystal. Thank you, that was awful? Yeah, of course, I'm really happy to help. Where was the other one? Here's a growler. Some squigs are lively enough to be kept as pets or mascots. Pet squigs are roughly the size of a small dog, hairy, and particularly vicious. A pet squig is allowed to scurry about behind its master, barely under his control. This gives its owner no end of amusement, especially when the squig snaps at the ankles of another orc. Pet squigs are often kept by knobs and eccentric odd boys. They are doted on by their owners, fed on tidbits by Gretchen servants, and exercised regularly by chasing snotlings. A particularly popular type of pet squig is known as the mimic. This squig has a beak-like mouth and is vaguely parrot-like in appearance. Mimics can be seen perched on the shoulder of many an old and haggard orc, casting expletives and insults at passerbys. Incredible. Incredible. Love a squig.
The Mimic.
This squig has a beak-like mouth and is vaguely parrot-like in appearance. Mimics can be seen perched on the shoulders of many an old and haggard orc, casting expletives and insults at passers-by.
So, you know those YouTube videos of the swearing parrots? That, basically, but with orcish swears, like Zog or something.
Scatter like wind and leaves.
I assume we're all familiar with a certain Manus Calgar, the large-fisted chapter daddy of the Ultramarines. But what no one talks about is that back in the late 80s, he had a writing desk made out of a dinosaur. That's right, humble viewer. He had a writing desk made out of a dinosaur.
I didn't even see him. I didn't even see him. Oh, wow. How did that escape my notice, dude? There's another dinosaur just kind of hanging out next to him. What? Oh, totally average writing desk. What do you mean? So true. He does look very serious. Why did they do this is a question I've wondered forever. Somebody was like, what if? Hey, dude, what if? Dude, I ate like 6 edibles, but what if he had, what if he had like a dinosaur? What if he had a dinosaur as a writing desk, you know? Yeah? It's a good idea, yeah? Oh, I see. Yeah, it does seem to have a quill holder. I don't really know where the quill holder is coming from, but it's really bonkers. This whole picture that I'm looking at is so bonkers. He's so blue.
But we don't even know if it's stuffed.
Like, I don't even know what's going on with this power armor.
Really well
It's cool.
trained, or if this other one is just kept as a spare. The fact that Games Workshop does not talk more about this is a real crime that they should go to an actual jail for.
Agreed.
That's it for number 5. I just wanted to talk about the dinosaurs.
Also, he kind of looks like he's sitting on a toilet, yes.
And despair.
It can be pretty interesting to look through the model catalogues from the Rogue Trader era, not only because of nostalgia or because the models, just like the art, are kinda wonky and adorable, but seeing the old price lists are pretty interesting in their own right. For example, in 2017, a 10-man tactical squad will cost around £25, but back in 1988 it only cost £10 for a 30-man squad, although I think it's safe to say that the 2017 models are significantly better quality than the old beakies. However, probably the best thing about the old models is that many of them have names, so as well as the memorable 40k character Marine Advancing, there was Brother Angst, Goreflem Rotbreath, and Sergeant Gutrush. But the absolute best ones have to be the Mercenary models, who had names that are quite frankly sublime, like Plundering Pete, No Face Fargo, Sarge Rockhard, Iron Bomb.
Okay,
It's the Squat, and my personal favourite, Mad Morris, who seems
Mad
to have
Morris.
been born without a neck.
And on the subject of models, they made a model of that Calgar picture from earlier, but they didn't include the dinosaurs because GW's crimes know no bounds.
We are chaos incarnate!
Due to Rogue Trader's more RPG-like gameplay, there's an assortment of statted creatures that aren't part of any particular army. They're just sort of there to add flavour to the game. Some are mundane like horses or cats, I'm sorry, grinxes. Some are things that are still around in 40k, like gene stealers, since at this point they weren't connected to Tyranids and were their own thing. But some of the creatures in the bestiary are pretty wild.
Like
Death
astral
spirits?
hounds that are teleporting psycho-hunting ghost dogs, enslavers that are Lovecraftian horrors that frankly I don't want to think about, dinosaurs, just dinosaurs, and actual literal vampires. Well, okay,
Let's
they're not
go.
literal vampires, they're a shape-shifting bat creature who consume life force and turn people into zombies, because of course there's rules for zombies.
There's also stats for alien plant life too, so if you've ever wondered who would win in a fight between a lithe and nimble Eldar warrior and a spiky bush, well, Rogue Trader has got you covered.
More tingly!
One interesting thing to see is how over the years between Rogue Trader's release and 40k 2nd edition coming out, things started to change. Whilst the rule set was the same, the lore we recognise was slowly coalescing through the
Hold on one
various
second.
source books.
Sorry, my mama brought me a piece of king cake, but I can't eat it because it has cream cheese. But she was very sweet to bring it to me. So, yeah, apologies. Oh, alright.
For example, Leman Russ, the Primarch of the Space Wolves, known to us now as a towering space Viking demigod, was originally shown in the main Rogue Trader rulebook like this.
Oh!
Yeah. He's a fucking
Whoa.
nerd. In this version, he's just a dude who founded the Space Wolves and got his lungs all screwed up.
However, by the time of the 1991 White Dwarf compilation, Russ was pretty much what he is now. The whole backstory of the Primarchs being scattered across the galaxy, the Great Crusade, even the Heresy, even his design is much more in line with how we see modern Space Wolves, even if this version does look a little more like Ragnar Blackmane
I didn't know they
than
actually
Russ.
had wolves.
There are some differences to the current lore, like the Primarchs don't seem to be ludicrous giants in this version, but it's
This is so funny to me. Absolutely wild. Oh. I apologize. It usually means that my parents are here.
mostly there.
Oh, and they made a model of this version too. It is so adorably tiny for a Primarch.
Yeah, he has those
Other examples of
S's.
changes across the edition include post-Heresy Dark Angels going from black to green, Space Marines going from exclusively being portrayed in Mark 6 armor to predominantly being shown in Mark 7.
That's a little
trend
low.
that continues to this day. For regular Marines anyway, not Primaris or Grey Knights or
wild.
whatever, so don't fucking start with me. And the models going from,
I won't.
what am I looking at, to, oh, that is what I'm looking at.
Do not waste what the Emperor provides.
Many of you will have seen this coming when you saw the title of this video, and it'd be a shame not to mention him, so here we go. Inquisitor Obi-Wan Sherlock Clousseau. If there's anything that illustrates how little Rogue Trader took itself seriously, it's this oddly named gent. In the section introducing the concept of Inquisitors in the main rulebook, he's the example they give, meaning he's the very first Inquisitor ever introduced into 40k. He's described as
a tireless exposer of psychic misdeeds and genetic deviance.
Apart from that description, this picture, and a surprisingly long list
He's
of
here.
equipment he's got stashed away in that jacket of his, we don't really know anything about the guy. For some reason, the powers that be don't talk about him anymore. We are left to wonder about the great deeds this man has performed for the Imperium of Man, nay, the galaxy. Maybe his skill at inquisitorial subterfuge is such that his feats remain hidden by design. A warrior who wants not fame, only the satisfaction that comes from the destruction of the enemies of man. But we will always remember him, and his very silly name. Inquisitor Obi-Wan Sherlock Clousseau.
We shall be remembered in a book of...
Okay, you guys told me this guy existed. seeing his picture with that name, it's too much. It's too much. I don't know how to handle it. I had to lower my chair. Wow. Wow. I'm shooketh. The yin yang symbol's crazy.
Sherlock Clousseau.
We shall be remembered in the Book of Honor.
And finally, there are a lot of thematic links between Warhammer 40,000 and Warhammer Fantasy, now known as Warhammer Age of Sigmar. Apart from the obvious one of both being made by the same company, both have the ruinous forces of chaos, both have orcs, and both have an emperor worshipped like a god. Also, the whole possibly taking place in the same universe but probably not theory.
But the connection was
interesting.
deeper than that in Rogue Trader. At the time, during Fantasy's 3rd edition, the mechanics of the two games were pretty much the same.
Hold on. Age of Sigmar doesn't just take place like a long time ago? Wait, I thought Age of Sigmar was like 20k or something. Nope. Well, it's complicated? Age of Sigmar is post-apocalyptic fantasy. Oh. All the races share a planet on Sigmar. Old World and Sigmar are separate universes. Okay. 40k technically is happening in a crystal ball in some wizard's shelf in Sigmar. That tracks. That sounds right, yeah. Takes place a long, long time after Warhammer Fantasy. What's a theory and not a fact? Warhammer 2k is just our history? Yeah. I said Warhammer 20k. Whoa. We do not have time for that? I mean, I asked what I thought was a simple question. Which all I'm asking, I guess, is Age of Sigmar set in the same universe as Warhammer 40k? And I've gotten the answer, no. In Age of Sigmar, they have 9 parallel dimensions stacked on top of one another. And you guys bitch and complain about 65 books in the Horus Heresy. Like, come on. At least we don't have 9 parallel dimensions stacked on top of each other. Like, come on, guys. Count your blessings. Okay. How many books does each dimension have? Who knows? Who knows? Since Slaanesh, I guess that's one of the reasons I thought they were the same, is because Slaanesh is in both of them. I guess all Chaos Gods are, but GW has been gaslighting you for decades with retcons, maybes, and that makes sense. There was a book published for fantasy called Liber Chaotica. Hold on. That references Magnus the Red and Chaos Space Marines. Didn't Fantasy Skaven once use their walkie-talkies and something messed up and they communicated with 40k Eldar or some shit? The fantasy setting, OW and AOS are separate from one another. You do not have e.g. Korn and AOS going, I wish Angron was here. AOS is post-apocalypse fantasy. Okay. But they're both with magic. Okay, no. Chaos is the only overlap. Everything else is headcanon. Fantasy Ratman did in fact radio the Eldar at one point. Incredible, great, amazing. Cool. I'm going to boil my brain. I mean, I like learning. I'm not trying to find out every single thing there is to know from chat, but I'm asking questions and I like doing that. At one point in fantasy, a character also had a chainsword as a relic. Doesn't change that GW insists these days 40k and all fantasy settings aren't related. Okay. Can we now talk about how Titans used to have kitty boxes to carry around and also that they could climb ladders? You sent me saying I have sent you relevant documents on a DM about Titans kitty boxes is so formal and funny to me. As you can see in this beautifully diagrammed picture that I'm assuming Luton has marked up for me. That is a ladder. That's a Titan? Dreadnought? Writing with a mouse is hard. It actually looks really good for a mouse. And then this is the ground. So as we can see, it can climb a ladder. The next very important slide that we're gonna look at is that is a Titan carrying a kitty box. Little kitty box. You know.
It's a massive cluster of fudge and snipe, and we'd go more into the connection of 40k and fantasy and their Slaves to Darkness video.
Cool. Kitty box. Just taking him to the vet. What's going on? What's going on here, dude? I feel like sometimes you guys are just like, hey, May, look at this stupid thing. And I'm like, this is stupid and I love it. Thank you so much. How big are those kitties? They seem very large. They seem very large. To be fair, I think that's a knight, not a Titan now that I see it. Ah, okay. No, I like it. I like it. I like it a lot. This is good. This is a good addition to this game. They seem Maine Coon size. They seem very large. No. No questions can be asked about that guy. A knight? Still, very big dude holding a box with cats. Cute. That just really doesn't look like it would support its weight. Like, it just really doesn't. It implies so much. You're right. You're right. They're just having a good time making this stuff. Thank you so much for sharing that, Loon. I appreciate it. Universe's sturdiest ladder, true. I like how in that pic of the knight with the kitty box, though, there's a dude with a cap that says Princeps on it. Okay, actually, hold on. Princeps. So it's like he wants everyone to know. Just, you know, putting it out there. Just putting it out there. That I pilot a Titan. I just need you guys to know. Let's finish this video up. I'm enjoying it so far. The editing's great. I like their writing style. They're funny. It's good.
So units, rules, and equipment from one game could be used in the other, and this is explicitly stated in the rulebook. So apart from making interesting death matches possible, like who would win between the Crimson Fists and the Skaven, I guess it would be totally possible to do things like play a fantasy game where the lizard men find a plasma cannon, or have a gene stealer cult but with centaurs.
And this is really just scratching the surface of what you can do. We implore you to check out both rulebooks and see what stuff you can concoct. And let us know in the comments if you do. We want to see how deep this rabbit hole goes. But seriously, the sheer ridiculous freedom to create weird shit by mixing these books is amazing. Want to write a campaign where the Space Wolves go on to fight a suspected demon incursion but find out it's actually an army of ill-tempered gnomes? You can totally do that.
And I guess that's the big difference between Rogue Trader and modern 40k. These days it's a war game. It's got rule sets that are designed in such a way it can be played competitively without the need for a GM. The lore is, although often tweaked, long established, and there's a constant grimdark tone to it. Despite issues with the odd thing here or there, it's all relatively polished, consistent, and professional.
Rogue Trader, on the other hand, was just throwing shit at the wall and seeing what sticks. It was about creating fun stories with a rule set that, being relatively convoluted, allowed for huge amounts of customization. It didn't matter if it was fair, because you had a GM to iron out those kinks, and anyway, who cares, you just rolled up a mutant who has unattractive fucking bird feet. And that's not to say that modern 40k is boring or anything, we wouldn't be making this video if we didn't love what the 40k setting became, just that the first edition of it, with all its rough edges and oddities, was something uniquely charming.
Hey there, thanks for watching! Very special thanks to Remlays from 40k Theories for lending us some of his mouth words for this video. Also, a massive thanks to the following people who support us on Patreon. Alex
That was
Kissan,
great.
Battlebarge Lobster.
Thank you guys for recommending that video to me, or recommending Snipe and Wib to me. I really liked that.